The Silent Fall of Arman Rahman. Arman Rahman was a man carved from the soil of patience and labor. His hands were rough with years of bricklaying and farming, his back bent from carrying loads that should have been divided among three men, and his eyes sunken from sleepless nights filled with worry and prayer. Yet those same eyes carried a tenderness reserved for his only son, Imran. From the day Imran was born, Arman vowed to give him a life far brighter than his own. He denied himself luxuries, often chewing on stale bread so his son could have fresh fruit. He refused invitations to festivals so that Imran could have new books for school. And when neighbors mocked his ragged clothes, he simply smiled, whispering, "Let them laugh. My boy will shine." And shine Imran did. He was quick with words, sharp in mind, and ambitious beyond measure. Teachers praised his brilliance. Neighbors called him the pride of the village. Arman would sit quietly at the back of school meetings, tears of pride forming as he listened to others speak of his son's brilliance. But ambition has two faces, one of light and one of shadow. The seed of distance. By the time Imran reached university, a small crack had formed between father and son. The boy who once ran to greet his father after work now spoke less, often ashamed of the mud-stained clothes Arman wore when he came to visit. "Baba," Imran once whispered with irritation, "you don't need to come to campus like this. People stare." Arman's heart stung, but he swallowed his pain with a gentle smile. "Forgive me, Imran. I just missed you." Imran nodded, distracted, his eyes fixed on his expensive shoes. Shoes Arman had bought by selling the last piece of his late wife's jewelry. At first, Arman believed this distance was only temporary, that education and city life demanded his son's attention. He told himself Imran still loved him, that this was just a phase of growing up. But distance grew into silence, and silence into something darker. The turning point. Years passed. Imran graduated with honors and soon became a successful businessman. He moved into a sleek apartment in Dhaka, filling it with modern furniture, expensive perfumes, and friends who dressed in silk. Arman, meanwhile, remained in the same crumbling village house, his health weakening, his back stooped further. Yet his pride in his son only deepened. When villagers asked, "Why doesn't your son visit?" Arman smiled through the ache. "He is busy, working for the future." One winter, Arman traveled unannounced to Dhaka to see his son. He arrived in his old kurta, carrying a sack of guavas from their village tree, Imran's childhood favorite. When Imran opened the door, his smile faltered. Behind him, well-dressed guests sat around a glass table, sipping wine. "Baba," Imran whispered harshly, his face tightening. "Why didn't you call first?" "I missed you," Arman replied softly, lifting the sack of guavas like an offering. "Look, your favorite fruit." The guests chuckled quietly at the sight of the old man in torn sandals. Imran's cheeks burned, not with love, but with shame. "Please, go back," Imran muttered, avoiding his father's eyes. "We'll talk later." Arman froze. For the first time in his life, his son's voice carried the weight of rejection. Slowly, he lowered the sack of guavas, leaving it at the doorstep before walking away into the night. Inside, Imran closed the door. Outside, a father's heart began to crack. The final betrayal. Months later, Arman fell ill. The village doctor urged hospitalization, but treatment was costly. With trembling hands, Arman dialed his son's number. "Imran," he said weakly, I, I need your help. The doctor says." "Baba, I'm in the middle of something," Imran interrupted. "I'll send money later." But no money came. Instead, weeks later, a letter arrived at Arman's home, not from Imran, but from a lawyer. It stated that the farmland, Arman's last inheritance, was now legally transferred to Imran's name. The son had convinced his ailing father to sign papers under the guise of hospital formalities. Arman had unknowingly signed away everything. The land where he once dreamed of building a new home, the soil into which he had poured his sweat for decades, was gone. When the villagers asked why his son had taken the land without visiting, Arman simply said, "Perhaps it was easier this way." He refused to speak ill of Imran, even as his heart withered. The lonely end. On a rainy evening, Arman sat outside his broken house, coughing violently. His frail hands clutched the memory of his wife's photo, his only companion. Raindrops soaked his clothes, but he did not move. He kept staring at the road, whispering, "Maybe today my son will come." He never came. Days later, the villagers found Arman still sitting in the same chair, his eyes closed, lips curved in a faint smile, as if in his final dream he had imagined Imran coming home.